Hi there, Rory Neary here. This is a video that I have been planning on doing, ironically, for quite a while. It's a video about Microsoft Planner. It's actually a really useful tool. There's lots of things that Microsoft try out and maybe they work to a greater or lesser extent, but Planner is a really useful tool, and it combines incredibly well with Teams, and that's what we're going to see today. I'm just going to show you how I use it, and by all means you can use it however suits you. So we're going to move across to Microsoft Office now. So here we are, we're on the main Office 365 page. If you don't see Planner or Teams here, we are going to start from Teams, although Planner is in fact independent of Teams, but it just works so much better with Teams. So we're going to go from the Teams point of view. If you don't see the Teams icon, then you can always just type in Teams from there, and then if you don't see it at that point, then I'm afraid you haven't had it turned on for you by your administrator, but that's usually quite unlikely. So I'm going to go directly into Teams, and I'm just going to pick any one of my teams, and I'm going to put a planner into it. I'm going to build the planner, but I'm also going to show you how I use Planner myself. So I'm in the middle of doing a piece of work with my niece, actually. We're doing something on sign languages, so it could be that we might need a team, or rather it could be that we need a planner, and the way in which we go about it would be quite simply to go to the plus up at the top there, hit the plus. Then you get to choose which tab that you can add. Clearly there's a lot of them to choose from. Type in PLA and that'll get you to Planner. Click on Planner and you will eventually get to a screen, and it will then offer us two different options. We can either put a plan that's already been created as a tab, but we want to create a new plan. So if we go for this, I'm going to name my plan, I'm going to call it sign language. Now I think it's not a huge problem. In fact, it's the tab name is sign language. We'll probably find that the planner gets called sign language as well. Just be a bit careful about this. It says post to the channel about this tab, so what you'll see is that as soon as we create it, we will get a posting to anyone in that channel, the fact that we've created a plan. So it's just going to whir away and start to create the plan, and it's going to be an empty planner. You can see that it's been created here, and then it starts to whir around. Now at this point in my life, I then move to the main version of Planner. I just find that if you're not careful, you kind of go from here and then you accidentally move off and so on. I much prefer to have it on its own tab. So I'll click on here and go on to the website here. And a website just means that it takes you to the full, fully functioning version of Planner. I guess a couple of things that you can see here already. These are the members that can use this planner, this wonderful planner with nothing at all in it. You can actually see all of my plans down the left hand side, and in fact if you go on to my tasks, what it'll actually do is it will show all of the tasks that have been assigned to you personally across all of your plans. Can be useful. I tend to just be interested in one planner at a time. So if I click on my task, I don't tend to assign them to myself because this is a tenant just for me. So everything is mine. So as a result, you won't see very many things in there. But we can click on the sign language plan and we can go into there. And at this point, it's really important to kind of have an idea as to how you intend to use Planner, because everyone can use it differently. I'm going to show you how I use it. So the way in which I use it, or rather some people use it one way, and I'll just show you how I use it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use it a bit like how IT people would use it. So they would have a backlog. That means the things that they haven't done yet. And so what we can do is we can drag that across there. That's a bit like the to-do, to be fair. Backlog, there's a blocked category, which obviously means that that the task has been blocked. There's a reason why we can't do it. And maybe with that, go across to the right hand side there. There's a done category, and we'd pop that in there. And the idea is that we will, I'm probably missing a few categories. I'll put an in progress there. In progress there. And I will pop it to there. And just before done, I think I'll put the blocked. Yeah, I think I'll put the blocked just on this side here. And we don't really need the to do anymore. So I'm going to delete that. Delete it. That's fine. So now what we can start doing is we can start adding tasks into our planner. So I'm going to add a task here. I'm going to put, well, that's actually that's a blocked task. So let's say I put wash the dishes. That could be a task. And one thing that we can do is let's get deep into the nature of a task itself. Now, one thing that we can do is we can move it between buckets. So let's say I haven't started this washing the dishes task. That could be my backlog. So then what I can do with it is I can start looking at it, and I can say whether or not we've actually started or if it's in progress. Now, just be careful that the minute you put it as completed, it kind of disappears. So you'll see it shows under this completed thing. And that's why I tend to put it into the done category. And that's how I tend to use it. So I'm going to click on this and I'm going to move it from completed to in progress. So that's a little bit better. There's a priority thing. So that's kind of handy. It does make a difference if you are... it does make a difference depending on how you want to view your list. So you can put a start time and an end time, or we might as well do that and put a start and a due date and, put some dates in there. And I'll put test 1, 2, 3. Now, this is the bit that it gets quite interesting with. Because you can then do show it on a card. So sometimes you'll put lots and lots of details in here, and you can show it on the card like this. And this is quite a nice way of showing it. The other thing that you can do is, and this is really important to pay attention on this bit, because there is this checklist thing, and I didn't fully understand quite how it worked when I was using it, and I'll show you why. So you've got job, so let's say turn on tap, get the bowl, put some dishes in the bowl, something like that. Now, when I saw this, I then thought, oh well, that's kind of in the wrong way round. I'd need to get the bowl and then turn on the tap and then put some dishes in the bowl, something like that. Now, so what I then did was I did this. I clicked this because I thought, well, I need to move that up, don't I? Because that's what it looks like to me. Now, and watch what happens. So you click on there and it disappears. And I then started, I thought, well, okay, well, I need to kind of get the bowl, don't I? And then I did it again. And what happens is that every time you click that, it actually adds a task into wherever you are. And it really threw me. So it's quite a nice hack actually, because what you can do here is you could actually, what you should do is, if you want to move them around, is you can move them like that. That's a good way of doing it. And you can also show them on the card. And I only found this out today, so I think this is really neat because you can show it on the card, but not only can you show it on the card? You can actually say that you've done them on the card as well. So in order to kind of go into that card, you can now see it, and you can say that you've not done them as well. So I think that's really quite a neat way of doing it. And I noticed that there's an add attachments thing here. I don't know how long that's been in there. Let's have a look at this. So you can put a file in there. I have no idea where they put these files, so I'm just going to pop that in there. It's a little spreadsheet. That's quite nice as well. And let's try another one. Let's do a SharePoint. That's quite nice as well. So that's, well, actually, strangely enough, it's the same document, but it's looks like it's looking inside your it's actually looking inside your team, which is quite cool. So I'm just going to click on that one there. The file is, oh, whatever. It's been a bit strange, so I'm going to actually delete this one here. I'm going to remove that there. I'm going to add an attachment and go onto SharePoint and click on this and then save it. It seems to put it in. Actually, I think what's really happening in here is that when you add a file in, I think it's actually putting it inside SharePoint. So I'm just going to, I don't actually know what some of these things are. I think this my son was doing some homework on here. So if I click on chessboard, it's just a picture of a chessboard, and go on there. You can actually show this on the card. How cool is that? That's really clever. Oh, wow, that is nice. So this is the joy of working on the cloud platform. It's why it's so stressful, because things change all the time. It could have been there for ages for all I know, but notice I could show it on the card. I'm going to do this sign language catalog as well and see what happens when I show that on the card. It's really, really nice, although I prefer the image. So I'm going to show that on the card. Oh, and it looks like you can only show one of them on the card of your attachments. So if we pop on there, and then we can do a link. So, do you know what I'm going to do? powerapps4kids.com. This is a project. Take notice. This is a project I'm involved in at the moment, and we are building a platform for children to learn about Power Apps. So let's see what happens when we go there. So we can actually click on this, and it's going to take me off to the website that we made so that we could teach kids about Power Apps. So this is another one of the things that I will get to do a video about that one day, but we're doing loads of things in this area here. So back onto here, so we have got this. Yeah, my personal preference, I like pictures, so I quite like that. That's really cool, although it didn't work this time. I'll just check that again. Show on card. Okay, it's probably just the joys of the internet here. Wow, we have done quite a bit. I'm going to add a couple more tasks. Test 1, 2, 3, set due date, and assign it to, well, I'll assign it to myself. Poor Beth, she'll have a heart attack if she gets these tasks come through. And I'll just do another task, and I'll just do A, B, C, D. And I will set a due date, and I'll just put that sometime in the future, and then do add a task. And I will do another task here, and then do overdue task, and I'm going to make sure that I put this into the past. So go on there and then add that task. So there we go. I've got different tasks in different categories, and what we can now do is we can change the view that we have of those tasks. So we can filter it if we want to, according to whether or not it's due or late. Now this one should be a late one, so this blocked one should be a late one. So filter by keyword. Okay. Oh, so we've got 2 late ones. In fact, that's the reason why it came up in red, is because those tasks are late. So there's different filters that we can apply here. You can filter it by bucket as well, so you can look at the blocked ones, etc., etc. But the one that the one that you do tend to end up using is you end up grouping it in a certain way. So you can group it by, as you can see here, by the bucket, brilliant by who it's been assigned to. You're only going to get me and nobody. Then you can have by the progress. So we had one that was in progress, but we've got 2 not started. You've also got grouping by this group by progress. It'd be interesting how they do it by due date. Okay, late and next week. That's quite nice. And then you've got labels. In fact, that I haven't actually shown you that. So if I go onto this and go onto label and give it a yellow color, then it goes into this yellow category. I'm not that familiar with how they actually do the labels. So label. I don't know if they can actually give it names at all. But the one thing, so group by there, and then we've got priority, and we didn't actually have any of them which had high priority. So if we actually just click on this one here and then say, okay, well, let's make you a priority of urgent, then we can see that one pops off into the left hand side there. So that's cool. Now charts personally I don't particularly use. Yeah, it's kind of interesting, but you know, I just wouldn't use them that much. And the schedule is mildly interesting, but also, you know, once you're into this sort of thing, you're into using products like Microsoft Project, where you get to have resources, and then you can sort of do timelines, and you can get a really good understanding of interactivity between the different tasks. This isn't really for that. So we've covered a lot of ground here. I'm trying to see if there's anything else that you're missing at this point. Now we can, they're saying things like copy plan, copy link to plan, plan settings. I don't think we need to go too deep into those areas there. You could have a conversation about it, however. I'm not sure. If you're having a conversation about a planner, why would you do that? So I'm not sure if I would do that. I'm going to move back to my favoured view, which is just the straight board. It just makes sense to me, and we can also just remember that we can get back to here, and actually you can see it all kind of start to light up in the same way. Planner isn't a bad one to use in Teams, as in it's not a bad one to use inside of Teams. Some products are not quite as good inside Teams. Planner's not bad. I just like to have it on a separate tab. That's my view. And so if you want to do that, then you click on go to website. You can actually make it a bit bigger, so that's probably good enough for most people. So this opening desktop app, that's the same thing as open it on the web. You can hit the reload, but there's not a lot of point in that. It should reload straight away. And then you've got a conversation where you can have a chit chat about the plan, where you go, hi, I think this plan is great. But would I use that? Maybe, but it just kind of go out of date. If I was going to have a conversation about something, I'd be much more likely to go onto the tab and then go onto the posts and then talk about whichever project I was involved. In fact, you can actually see that there's a bit of a chit chat about the plan, but it's not for me. So we've got to the end, roughly speaking, of this video. I just want to reiterate the fact that we didn't have to start from Teams. We could have literally just started our own planner just for us personally, and which wasn't part of a team at all. We could have just clicked new plan. We've got test 1, 2, 3. Do be careful when you create a plan. In fact, you would want to make it a private plan typically, and then you go to create plan. I'm just going to quickly check on the options. Not many options here. Click create plan, and at this point I've got a plan called test 1, 2, 3. You can see it there. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just jump back to Microsoft Teams and just see if we can actually bring that planner in. So I'm going to click on the plus here. I did it twice, unfortunately. and type in planner. And before, if you remember, we had an opportunity to add a planner that had previously been created, and that's what I'm going to try and do here. So in fact, it says use an existing planner from this team, and so you can see it's a bit, so if you want to get a team that you previously created into a planner, get a planner into a team where you'd previously created the planner, it's a little bit awkward. So I think the message there is, if you're going to have one inside a team, make it from within the team's experience. I've come to the end of this. I'm bound to have missed some things on here. By all means, let me know inside the chat below and I will come back to you. Do also make sure you look at the video I put together. I'll have a link for it down below, which is an overview of Office 365 and all the products of Office 365. I think it's really useful, and this will be kind of a part of that. And apart from that, make sure you subscribe. If you hit the bell icon, you'll get a notification, but it will be of all sorts of videos that I do. Other than that, have a lovely day, and I hope to see you again sometime soon. Thank you. Bye.